Chris Eubank Jr. has been called many things: world-level athlete, overhyped pretender, warrior, diva, a man you can't figure out but also can't ignore. In 10 years, he's been booed, mocked, written off, and then somehow he keeps coming back stronger. He's been outboxed, knocked out, reinvented himself. He's carried his father's legacy like a shield and a curse. For years, everyone's been asking, who is Chris Eubank Jr.? But that question's so bloody complicated. Most fighters are easy to place. Contenders over here, champions over there. Everyone's got their box. You look at their record, watch a couple of fights, and you know exactly what they are. But Eubank Jr., he doesn't fit anywhere, never has. 35 wins, 3 losses, 25 knockouts, multiple-time IBO champion. Held the WBA interim belt. Been a fixture in British boxing for a decade, headlining shows, selling tickets, making noise. On paper, he's got titles, but not the titles. Not the ones that shut everyone up, not the ones that get you mentioned alongside the greats. He's beaten former world champions, given us knockout highlights we'll watch for years, headlined pay-per-views, sold out arenas. His fights deliver, his performances spark debate. He's been must-watch television for over a decade. And still, after all this time, nobody can agree how good he actually is. Is he a world-class fighter, one performance away from greatness? Or is he a talented athlete who's already hit his ceiling? Is he unlucky, or has he simply not been good enough when it mattered most? The truth is, nobody knows, and that's what keeps us watching. To understand Chris Jr., you've got to start with the name. Chris Eubank Sr., one of Britain's most iconic fighters, elegant, eccentric, absolutely fearless. A man who wore jodhpurs, drove a truck with his name on it, and backed it all up in the ring, unbeaten in his first 10 years as a pro. WBO middleweight and super middleweight champion, a proper legend. For young Chris, that name was a golden ticket and a target on his back. He grew up in Hove, cameras everywhere, his dad's fame like a shadow, public appearances, TV shows, journalists asking questions. It looked glamorous from the outside. For him, suffocating. The expectations were enormous. Every time he stepped into a gym, people were watching, comparing, judging, waiting for him to either live up to the name or crumble under the weight of it. He once said, "I couldn't escape being Chris Eubank's son, so I left." At 16, he packed up and moved to Las Vegas, alone. No cameras, no entourage, no safety net. Just a teenage kid trying to become his own man, away from the shadow of greatness. Out in the Nevada desert, he found something he'd never had before: silence. Nobody cared about his surname. Nobody knew who his dad was. Nobody treated him like royalty or the son of a legend. He was just a skinny British kid trying to survive sparring with killers. And it was brutal. The American gym culture, hard, unforgiving, relentless. If you couldn't hang, you got chewed up and spat out. No sympathy, no second chances, but he stuck it out, learned to fight the American way. High output, constant pressure, overwhelming physicality. He won the Nevada Golden Gloves, won the Western States, built an aggressive, swarming, relentless style that had nothing to do with his father's patient, calculated brilliance. When he came back to the UK, he wasn't just coming home, he came back with a chip on his shoulder and a point to prove that he was more than his father's shadow, that he was his own fighter, his own man. When Eubank Jr. turned pro in 2011, the hype came fast. Too fast, maybe. 18 wins, 13 knockouts, explosive power, granite chin, that unmistakable Eubank swagger, the showboating, the confidence, the trash talk. He was box office from day one. But with every knockout, fans ask the same question: who's he actually beaten? Every cocky interview, Every stare down, critics would roll their eyes and say, "Talk to us when you face someone real." The pressure kept building. Prove it, prove it, prove it. So in 2014, he did. He fought slick southpaw Billy Joe Saunders, a rising star, unbeaten, proper rival, a man with serious skills and an even bigger mouth. This was a grudge match. Two young lions, both convinced they were destined for greatness. Early on, Eubank looked lost. Saunders boxed beautifully. Movement, timing, angles, slipping shots, landing counters. It was a masterclass in pure boxing. But around round 6, something shifted. Eubank woke up, started pressing forward, cutting off the ring, throwing bombs, hunting the knockout with everything he had. The crowd came alive. It felt like momentum was swinging. But it was too little too late. Split decision. Saunders wins. Eubank's first defeat. But even then, people couldn't agree. Some thought he'd left it too late. Others thought he was simply outclassed. Some said he showed heart. Others said he showed inexperience. The mystery got deeper. The questions got louder. After Saunders, Eubank rebuilt quickly. He stopped Dmitry Chudinov for the WBA interim title, battered Arthur Abraham in a one-sided beatdown, picked up the IBO belt twice. He was winning fights, collecting belts, delivering highlight reel moments. On paper, his resume was growing. In the ring, he was putting on shows, but critics wouldn't let it go. They're not real world titles. He still hasn't beaten anyone elite. Every win came with an asterisk. Every belt came with a but. He was stuck in this strange limbo, too good to ignore, not good enough to crown. Then came the biggest test of his career, George Groves, a world champion, seasoned veteran, a man who'd been in wars, tasted defeat, rebuilt himself and won a world title the hard way. He had experience, ring IQ and a jab sharp enough to slice you open from distance. The build-up was electric. Fans were split down the middle. Eubank was convinced he'd overwhelmed Groves with youth, speed, pressure and sheer will, but Groves just boxed smartly, calmly, cruelly. He jabbed Eubank's face off, controlled the distance, made him miss, landed clean. It was a masterclass in championship-level boxing. Eubank swung wildly, desperately, trying to land that one big shot. Groves stayed composed, stayed sharp, stayed ahead. Unanimous decision, another loss, another lesson. For a lot of people, that was it, the final verdict. He'll never be elite, he's a level below the best. But the story wasn't over, not even close. After years of relying on heart, chin and sheer physicality, Eubank made a decision that shocked people. He teamed up with Roy Jones Jr, one of the greatest to ever lace up a glove, a genius, a fighter who rewrote the rules. Under Roy, everything changed. Eubank slowed down, started jabbing more, feinting more, fighting off the back foot, using angles, timing, patience. He wasn't just brawling anymore. He was thinking, calculating, setting traps. Some fans thought the transformation was brilliant. A fighter evolving, learning, adapting. Others thought it felt wrong, forced, like he was trying to be someone he wasn't. But one thing was clear, Eubank Jr was changing, evolving, searching for the version of himself that could finally silence the doubters and prove he belonged at the top. January 2023, Liam Smith, a tough Scouser who'd been world champion, fought the best, feared nobody. A fighter with power, experience and nothing to lose. Nobody saw what happened next coming. 4 brutal rounds. Smith hurt him early, then hurt him again. Eubank's legs wobbled. His chin, his iron, unbreakable chin, cracked. The ref stepped in. It was over, the darkest moment of his career. Fans said he was finished. Pundits said he was exposed. The internet had a field day. Memes, jokes, hot takes. Overrated, exposed, done. For most fighters, that would have been the end, the beginning of a slow, sad decline, but not for Eubank Jr. In the rematch, Eubank walked into that ring carrying pressure that would have broken most fighters. No belt on the line, no excuses, just redemption or retirement. And for 10 rounds, he put on the performance of his life. Sharp, accurate, patient, brutal. He boxed beautifully, jabbing, moving, controlling distance, breaking Smith down piece by piece. Then when the moment came, he unloaded. Dropped Smith, hurt him badly, stopped him. 8 months from supposedly washed to reborn. All that pressure, all that doubt, all that weight he'd been carrying since that first fight finally off his back. It was a statement, a resurrection, a reminder that Chris Eubank Jr. doesn't go away quietly. Of all his rivalries, none captured the public imagination like Conor Benn. Two sons of two icons, two styles, two families, two eras, colliding in the most dramatic, chaotic, compelling way possible. Drug test controversies, fight cancellations, press conference chaos, trash talk that felt personal, egg smashing, social media warfare, months and months of drama. By the time they finally stepped into the ring, the anticipation was off the charts. And when they fought, it was war. Eubank got cut badly. He got hurt, he got dragged into deep, dangerous waters, but his discipline, his experience, his composure pulled him through. He outboxed Benn, outfought him, outlasted him, walked out battered, bloodied, but victorious. Villain to some, hero to others, but always, always compelling. Today, Chris Eubank Jr. is at a crossroads. He's 35 years old, still a world-level contender, still a pay-per-view draw, still selling tickets, still making headlines, still sparking debate, but he's still chasing the one thing he's never had, a universally recognised world title, a legacy-defining victory, a moment that ends the debate once and for all. Some think he'll never get there, that the window's closed, that he's had his chances and come up short. Others reckon the mystery is the point, that Chris Eubank Jr. was never meant to fit in a neat box, that he's not supposed to be easily defined or easily dismissed. He's not a champion or a nearly man, not a hero or a villain, not a hype job or a legend. He's something entirely different, an anomaly, a contradiction, a fighter who defies every attempt to label him, an enigma. But one thing's undeniable, in a sport where everyone gets labelled, judged, categorised, dismissed, Chris Eubank Jr. stands alone. Impossible to define, impossible to predict, impossible to look away from. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough.